What is going on, guys? Welcome into another edition of the Fantasy Slant, brought to you by Pro Football Focus. I'm your host, Mike Tagliere, and we are back with our usual gang of analysts and writers and editors, and we got the whole gang here today. And we're going to do something a little more fun today. I don't know if it's considered fun because last night's game was something odd for me. Okay, so I went into last night's game needing 10 points, PPR points, mind you, from Julio Jones. I did not get that, and then to boot, in like one of my biggest leagues that I play in, like it's one that I really want to win. I'm in first place. That one I was up 3.5 points going into the final drive for the Falcons, and Devonta Freeman gets like 50-some yards on that final drive because the Saints can't play defense, and I lost that. It was a bad beat. Daniel, let's start with you. Did you have any bad beats from Monday night? Because there was a lot of scoring, but it was a lot of weird scoring, right?
I came into last night behind in every one of my matchups, so I can't say it was a bad beat. But I needed Freeman and Julio Jones to outscore Breeze by 15. And Freeman did his part, but man, how are you going to have a game with 77 points and Julio Jones and Brandon Cooks combined for 29 yards? That's silly.
No, it was brutal. Brandon, did you have any stories like that? I know you like me, are in too many leagues, so I'm sure you have something. I mean, you're also 6-0. We have a dynasty league between Brandon and I and a couple other people. Nathan's in that one too. And Brandon, you're like 6-0, so I don't know if Brandon has any bad beats this year yet at all.
Yeah, I'm murdering people on the regular. No, I don't have a whole lot of Julio Jones. Not on purpose, but just the way that my draft worked out. So that's unfortunate. But yeah, I mean, Brandon Cooks, but in the leagues where I had Brandon Cooks, it didn't matter. So it was okay. But you know what? I started a lot of Tevin Coleman and Devonta Freeman. In fact, I was in a league where I started both. Felt good about that. I mean, listen, we kept getting phone calls on all my radio shows being like, should I start Devonta Freeman? I was like, if you won't start him against New Orleans Saints, you need to trade him away immediately.
Yeah, no, I don't know what's going on with Julio Jones. He's got to be hurt, though, right? Nathan, is he hurt? Like, you tracked the game last night. I know that. Like, snap counts, was he on the field for every play? Like, what's going on with Julio Jones?
Yeah, I think he's hurt since he is coming off the field a little bit more than you typically see him go off. But I'm in a league, a PFF Friends and Family League, or a bunch of people that are either currently with PFF Fantasy or formerly with PFF Fantasy. We've had this Dynasty League for 3-4 years now. Was going up against Tyler Lautner. He had Julio Jones, only scored him 2 points, but he also had on defense Deion Jones, who had that interception for a touchdown. So I ended up losing to Tyler because of Deion Jones rather than Julio Jones.
That's rough, man. See, like it was just a weird game last night, but it was just like I've gotten a lot of tweets at me today about ways that people lost that game and whatnot. But we're not here to talk about just last night's game, guys. We're here to talk about Waiver Wire, as we're going to do every single week with you guys. Make sure to tune in. We record this Tuesday mornings. It should be out, I think, later today, before Waiver Wires obviously come through. But as we do every week, we're going to start off with the quarterback position. And one name that I didn't know that we'd have to take seriously this year, but there's usually seemingly at least one rookie every single year. Carson Wentz. I mean, this kid is looking fantastic. I know he's had a couple good matchups, but Brandon, is he someone that we can start to put into starting lineups as a weekly streamer and actually trust him?
Well, I will say that Carson Wentz is my second favorite Carson from the Dakotas because I'm married to another Carson, but that one's from South Dakota. So I always laugh about it. We literally sit here in our living room being like, wow, go Carson from the Dakotas over and over again. It's just fun. What a fun guy to cheer for. Even Joe Biden got in on the Twitter action. It's a lot of fun out there. The quarterback position is decimated. I have written a couple articles that, our wonderful Daniel has edited, thank God. But, about the quarterback position is really, really brutal right now. And as far as streaming is concerned, pretty much anyone's on the table. And they have to say that they are getting it done on all levels. They're running the ball, they're catching the ball, they're doing all these other things. Their defense is good, so they're actually able to control the game on offense, which is very important, especially for a rookie quarterback. So for me personally, yeah, it's matchup dependent. dependent. But hey, would I say that the Pittsburgh Steelers were necessarily a defense I wanted to play a quarterback against? Not necessarily. So he may be more impressive than we think, but there's definitely a changing of the guard happening. I mean, Dak Prescott's looking good, but Russell Wilson is hurt. I cannot start him until he's 100% because he cannot be Russell Wilson on a bum knee or a bum ankle. That's just very, very difficult for him. Andrew Luck, disaster zone. What is going on there? We got Tyrod Taylor, who sometimes has the points, but really when you look at the metrics, it's just nothing you can depend on. So certainly Carson Wentz has to enter the conversation.
Yeah, of the close to 30 quarterbacks that have started all 3 games, he's one of just 3 guys. Phillip Rivers, Dak Prescott, and him are the only ones that have not thrown interceptions yet. Daniel, are you starting to buy Carson Wentz as an every week starter? We know, and before you guys jump to the waiver wire and say you need to pick him up now, just know that he is on a bye this week. Him and the Packers are on byes this week. But is he someone that maybe you should pick up a week ahead of time just to make sure that you're the person that gets him?
Only if you're in a real bind. He looks good, but he's not throwing the ball deep. Most of his production's coming after the catch. And yes, they're still going to have Darren Sproles and those kind of guys all season, but I find it hard to trust him as a QB1. QB2, if you have a guy on a bye week and he's there, sure, but I'm not putting him out there as an every week starter.
Yeah, that's a good catch by you. Actually, he has the 4th lowest average depth of target. Trevor Simeon's the lowest at 7.3. Then you have Alex Smith, Andy Dalton, and then Wentz is there at the 4th lowest. Just 7.7 as an average depth of target. But Nathan,
don't you think that's by design though? Because he's a rookie and they want him to be successful. I think that's great.
Oh,
I would be more upset if he had a very large depth per target because I'd be like, oh, that's going to be mistakes, interceptions, a decline. I mean, I just wonder if maybe that metric isn't as relevant in this particular circumstance. But I'd love to hear what Nathan has to say about that. I could be totally off.
Brandon, it's hilarious that you mentioned that, the higher the depth of target, because guess who leads the league in average depth of target?
Oh, God.
Carson Palmer, the guy who threw 4 interceptions this week against Buffalo. We're gonna, we're not gonna talk about Carson Palmer and how bad he was on Sunday. But Nathan, I don't want to spend too much time there, but I do want to stick on the fact of a rookie quarterback, and Dak Prescott has been extremely. I actually think for me, I might pick him up over Carson Wentz just because I think that he adds more with his legs. I'm guessing you obviously watched this game on Sunday night against the Bears. It was the Bears. Let's keep that in mind. But I think every week Dak Prescott has gotten better, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think if I had to pick one between the two going forward, I'd go with Wentz. I think he's been playing better in general. But I think it's both of them are quarterbacks where if they're in the right matchup, you want to start them. They might not be both players that you would play every single week. Like you said, it was the Bears, and the Bears not only have a reputation for not being great, but they had a lot of starters injured and out for this game. But I think it's also something with both of these quarterbacks that they might not be able to keep this up going forward. Just as teams get more film on them, they'll be able to figure out what they're doing, figure out how to stop them more. We've seen it a lot with players who come out of nowhere, start seeing playing time, so teams just don't know how to prepare for them yet. But So that would be my only concern with either of these guys. But with how quarterbacks in general have been playing, they've both been looking very good.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, you look at the way Dak Prescott opened up his career, essentially. It was 2 divisional games, and then finally at home on prime time against the Bears, the injury-depleted Bears, mind you, but he played really well. Now, Daniel and Brandon, I want to ask you guys the same question. Which one would you rather pick up? If you're looking at the waiver wire, and let's say that someone needs a quarterback, Carson Wentz or Dak Prescott?
I mean, rest of season, I guess I'm going to go with Carson Wentz, but barely. I mean, again, I don't think either of them are rest of season quarterbacks. I think they're both streaming options for me. So, but I guess I'm going to go with Wentz because, as Nathan said, when you look at his, overall metrics, his completion percentage, especially when you look at his accuracy completion percentage, it's crazy. The guy doesn't make mistakes. I also really like that he's a big study kind of guy. He wants to look at the tape because then what that means is while people are studying tape on him, he's also doing as good of a job studying the tape on the other people. Now, that's not saying that Dak Prescott doesn't do that, but it is nice to get that reassurance from me. And since we don't have a lot of information, I do take into consideration those kind of coach speak things with rookies because, man, we just don't know.
Yeah. No, and Daniel, let's have you. Let's see is there anybody here that wants Dak over Carson Wentz, or are you with Wentz?
If we're talking rest of season, I'm going to say Wentz just because Dak has Tony Romo lurking. But if we're talking about any given week and we know Prescott's going, I'll go with Prescott. I think it's interesting. Right now, they both have the exact same number of fantasy points and the exact same number of passing yards, but Prescott only has one passing touchdown. Of course, he's made up for it with his legs, but one passing touchdown with Des Bryant and Jason Witten out there, that number is going to go up. He's going to score. He's going to have more passing touchdowns. Even if he regresses a little in the scoring on the ground, I just don't see how he can't keep up with the raise his touchdown rate a little bit, and that's going to make up the difference.
Do you think he's going to go back to Tony Romo?
Oh yeah, they're going back to Romo.
I don't know. So? I think probably, but I think at the very least it's a threat, and there's no Tony Romo like threat in Philadelphia.
No.
Nathan, do you think they're going back to Romo, or do you think that this is Prescott's show if he keeps playing well?
I think if Romo is able to be 100%, they'll go back to Romo, but I think they might wait on Romo a little longer than they originally would have because he's playing so well.
Yeah. Well, speaking of a quarterback that is hurt, not hurt, we don't really know, but this is more of like a preemptive ad in some leagues. Colin Kaepernick, his name has come up on an actual football level this time, and Chip Kelly is saying the reason that he's our number 2 right now is because he hasn't been healthy. Blaine Gabbert hasn't really been. I'm not going to say he's been like. Okay, he hasn't been good. We'll go there. But Colin Kaepernick. Nathan, let's start with you. Colin Kaepernick, what's your thoughts on him right now? Is he someone that maybe in a 2-quarterback league that you add thinking he's going to get the start here at some point?
I think if you're in a deep enough league, then go ahead. But I don't think in a league where you're only having 1 or 2 quarterbacks on the roster, I would want him at this point. I think there's too much that would have to go right in order for this to go well. He hadn't been playing well in the past couple of seasons. Yeah, they have Chip Kelly now, which will have more passing attempts. And in that offense before, we've seen bad quarterbacks perform well fantasy-wise. But I think in Philadelphia, they also had a much better offensive line, where San Francisco, they don't have it. So it'll be harder for a quarterback to perform well. So I think Kaepernick will have to get healthy. He'll have to win the job. He'll have to understand the offense. And the offense as a whole will need to do better in order for Kaepernick to perform well and get you a lot of fantasy points.
Yeah. Before we get into running backs, Brandon, Daniel, did you guys want to add anything on Kaepernick? Is there something that you guys felt passionate about in regards to him? Anything?
No. I mean, I don't want to be rude, but
I can't imagine feeling strongly about Colin Kaepernick on field. He still exists.
Well, it was a pretty weird quarterback week. There's really not much here to talk about. I don't think anybody's talking about adding Cody Kessler or anything like that. But let's talk about running backs. It's another week where more running backs get hurt, and we look for more and more fill-ins. First, it was Shane Vereen out of nowhere with an elbow injury that now he's out for. They're saying not the season, but he's basically out for fantasy purposes. And then you have Jeremy Langford, who was already losing the grip on the starting job. He is now out. They're saying 4 to 6 weeks, which is a big time frame, guys. Like that to me says that we're not interested in hurrying him back. So let's talk about the number 1. I think that this guy should be number 1 on all of your waiver wire priorities, and that's Jordan Howard. I know some people out there were like, well, how is this guy not owned? I checked ownership on sites, guys. He was only 25% owned on almost every website. So if you're in a league with him, that's fantastic. But most leagues, he's still out there. Brandon, let's start with you. Jordan Howard, is he the number 1 waiver wire ad at any position this week?
Sure. I don't know if I'm, in love with him rest of season the way that other people are, but it's bye weeks now. You're getting desperate. You absolutely need to own him for sure. I mean, he's averaging 5.6 yards per carry right now. That's great, but I think that Chicago has some issues. But hey, you know what? We're in a world where people are starting Cameron Artis-Payne for crying out loud. So absolutely, you want to do the Jordan Howard thing as quickly as possible. He's got 6 of his 7 targets, which I really like. I feel bad for Jeremy Langford. I mean, he finally got some yards after contact and he got hurt, and that's a bummer. But this is fantasy. That's life. So, move forward, grab Jordan Howard if you can.
Yeah, it's a small sample size that we're going off of, but Jordan Howard has looked decent in his spots. I'm not saying that – I don't know what the size fronts are that he's played. I don't know if somebody here has that data. on basically how many times he's seen a base defense, whereas Howard. But remember, guys, this is the offense that had the most running back carries last year. So I think it's a valuable spot to be in regardless its volume. Daniel, what's your take on Jordan Howard?
I mean, if you need a running back, there's no reason not to pick him up. You asked earlier if he was the number one pickup across the league, and I think we'll get to the reason he's not, and that's Terrell Pryor later. But if you're in a pinch on a running back, who else are you going to get? You're going to get Orleans Darkwa to fend his way out of a 3 or 4 headed monster? No, if you need a running back, it's obviously Howard. I don't think there's really any argument to the contrary.
Nathan?
Yeah, I agree. He's the number one guy this week. I think I really like his situation as well. Kadeem Carey, their other running back, was also hurt this past week. So Howard basically, once Langford went down, was playing every snap. So he should be seeing a lot more snaps than plenty of the other running backs in the league right now. And also playing behind an offensive line that in pass protection hasn't been great, but run blocking, they looked good against Dallas, and they should only be getting better as the season goes on with Sitton learning to play with the Bears better, and then their center, who just moved to center right before the season. So it should only get better, and I think Howard is in a great situation, at least for the short term.
Yeah, and then they're playing against Detroit this week. Detroit is a team that's allowed over 100 yards to both DeMarco Murray and Eddie Lacy the last couple weeks, so it could be a week to get him rolling. I know Detroit is still suffering some injuries. Daniel, let's go back to you. You mentioned a name, Orleans Darkwa, and there's a lot of people, myself included, that kind of got involved in this conversation where, is it Orleans Darkwa? Is it Paul Perkins? Is it neither? The reason I say it's Paul Perkins is because Paul Perkins that was obviously drafted for a reason. They want to use him eventually as, their lead running back. The idea was Rashad Jennings, and I do think that Rashad Jennings comes back. I don't know if Orleans Darkwa can handle the third down duties, and that's basically what they lost in Shane Vereen, a guy that can carry the ball if they need him to, and a guy that can catch the ball out of the backfield. So for me, Paul Perkins is probably the pickup, but am I wrong here? Do you think it's Darkwa?
Why would you pick any of these guys up? Jennings is going to be back. There's Darkwa and Perkins. You didn't mention Bobby Rainey. As long as Shane Vereen was around, he was going to be the pass-catching back, but now that's gone. If I have Jennings, I'm keeping him. If I don't have Jennings and I'm looking at another New York running back, I'm very sad. I can't imagine picking any of these guys up with confidence.
It is sad, but the reason we're even talking about it in the first place is because the running back landscape right now is a sad place, is it not, Brandon?
Yeah, I mean, it's devastating. Again, if you're talking to me about Jerry McKinnon or Cameron Artis-Payne.
Or Kenyon Drake.
I mean, you got, Jay Ajayi scored a touchdown last week, people. It's getting crazy out there. So, I mean, okay. Sure. I mean, they're dropping like flies. And this is why, I just wrote an article as well about, Devil's Advocate. I was like, listen, if someone drops Ryan Matthews or someone who's hurt, who's going to come back, I'm grabbing these people. Listen, it's ugly out there. It is ugly. If you can hold on, if you have, and this is also why I think the fantasy leagues should have an IR spot, at least one. I think it's just unfair to have, all these guys on your bench, especially now that we're in bye weeks, you're going to have to make some tough decisions. But listen, when you look at the New York Giants schedule, there are places where you could plug in an Orleans Darkwa. Until we see Paul Perkins on a football field, I don't know what to say. Yeah. I don't have anything to analyze. I don't have any numbers to give you. I'm just telling you he's on the team, and that makes me a little uncomfortable. Whereas Orleans Darkwa did score a touchdown last week. I don't know. No, I'm interested in what Nathan has to say about their offensive line, but let me tell you, that's a lot of rolling the dice for me, especially only 2 teams on bye this week. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, that's what I'm saying. It's just such a rough area out there. It's like I'm looking for the highest upside pick, I guess. And if Rashad Jennings goes down, I think that Darkwa may end up being the highest producer there. But Nathan, what's your take on the situation?
Yeah, I think if you want to pick one of these guys up, it'll be Darkwa, especially if Jennings does end up missing another game, since Darkwa was seeing plenty of playing time, 21 snaps last week, seeing the running snaps. I think going forward, I could see Jennings taking those passing snaps from Vereen, so I'm not sure it'll go deeper down the depth chart than that. Bobby Rainey did see a number of passing downs this past week, so it might not even be Perkins yet. It might be Bobby Rainey who's seeing an increased playing time. And I think you're only really looking at it for this upcoming week after Jennings is out, since upcoming schedules like Minnesota, Green Bay, Baltimore, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, Cincinnati, a bunch of teams who are doing pretty well against the run. So I don't think you really want anyone, but if you want someone for this upcoming week because of whatever situation you're in, it's probably Darkwa.
Yeah, no, Bobby Rainey, just so you guys know, Bobby Rainey is a guy that I wouldn't pick up regardless of the league. I think he's just a guy. I mean, he's a passing down guy that basically would just fill a void in snaps. He doesn't offer anything like a major talent-wise or anything like that. That's like the boring pickup, I guess. And that's, I think, maybe why I like Perkins over Darkwa. I don't know. But, you know, if I want to get you guys on board with me in this one, though. And honestly, I had no idea. I would actually pick up this guy, I'm about to say, over Jordan Howard. But it's because I almost didn't envision him to be on this many waiver wires. But I just checked Yahoo real quick. Dwayne Washington is just 23% owned in Yahoo leagues, that usually gives you a good idea as to the landscape around fantasy. Dwayne Washington, to me, is the number one running back pickup over Jordan Howard to me. Am I losing my mind here? Like, someone tell me that I'm losing my mind, or that no, Mike, you're absolutely right. And if he's out there, that somebody should pick him up. Whoever wants to grab that one, take it.
Well, he had the same amount of carries as Theo Riddick, which makes me a little nervous. I thought he'd get more. I was surprised by that. Certainly, I mean, you know, he only went 38 yards on 10 carries last week, so that wasn't exactly, you know, house burner there. But you know, one catch, but it was for -3 yards. I don't know. I think again, it's slim pickings out there, so you have to do it. And you have to hope that he gets, you know, more efficient as he moves along. But, you know, that Detroit offense is throwing the ball a lot. There are a lot of passes happening there. And they are, I mean, Marvin Jones, wow. Just, you know, there's no even analysis that can, like, encompass what is going on there. So, I'm sure. I would say he's maybe the pickup of the week. But I think I actually would rather have Jordan Howard, because he doesn't have Theo Riddick on his team.
That's the thing. Is like, yeah, you said they have the same amount of carries, but the thing is, Theo Riddick, 9 yards on his 10 carries. He's not built to be a running back. Like Washington, 10 carries, 38 yards. Yeah, that's fine, but I understand it's not the greatest. But here's the thing. The Packers, before this game, they had allowed just 81 yards on 44 carries. The Packers have been stopping the run, so I'm actually pleased. Considering the game script, Aaron Rodgers threw like 4 touchdowns in the first 20 minutes of that game. The game script was literally as bad as it can get for Washington. Now let's jump over to Nathan. Nathan, what about you? Are you with Howard? Or are you taking Washington? Washington, by the way, guys, gets the Bears this week. The Bears defense we just saw on primetime twice. They've allowed 2 100-yard rushers this year already. And I can't see the Bears jumping out to a big lead. I think game script-wise, Washington, this fits. And I think that he's honestly one of my favorite buy lows. Even if you don't have him on your team, get him as a throw-in on a trade. Nathan, what's your take?
I do think I like Howard more long-term just because of the playing time. I think Theo Riddick, even though he's not a great runner, they still need to run him at least a couple of times every game just so defenses don't know for sure that they'll always be passing whenever Riddick's on the field. I also like center, so I could see him getting some carries eventually in there as well. But I do like Washington. I think he will see carries, especially this week, like you said, against Chicago. So I think Washington is someone that you want to be able to pick up, but I would still take Howard more.
All right, Daniel, am I on an island by myself here, or is Howard the guy and I'm just wrong?
I mean, those can both be true. I think you're on an island. I mean, you know, it's like we said, it's a wasteland right now. And if you're in a pinch, Washington's fine. But just the mere presence of Riddick is going to keep Washington from getting that many looks in one way or another. Howard's got the job right now. I'll take either if I'm in a pinch, but I'm going Howard over Washington.
Yeah, I mean, if you're able to get both, more power to you. But I just couldn't believe that Dwayne Washington was that much owned, like just that little owned in leagues. So, I mean, I think I put him above Darkwa. I think we're in agreement on that. But real quick, I want to touch on, before we move to the wide receivers, 2 injured running backs. When is the time to pick these guys up? First, Kenneth Dixon. He should be back here. I don't know. It might be this week. He hasn't shown much in the practices, so I don't know if he's still 2 weeks away or whatever. But him, and also, is it time to start thinking about picking up Dion Lewis off waiver wires? Like, we're now entering week 4, guys. This is a guy that can return. It's in week 7. So, Daniel, please tell me, what are you thinking about picking up these guys now? Are you clearing a roster spot, or are your roster spots just way too valuable at this point to hold on to one of these guys?
Pretty much that. If I end up doing a trade that's 2 for 1 and end up clearing a roster spot, sure, I'll toss one of these guys a look. But everything's so tied up right now that if you're wasting a roster spot on someone who's not contributing, unless it's Tyler Eifert, who you know what his role is when he gets back, I find it hard to imagine you can burn a spot on them.
Brandon?
Oh, man. Why? Okay, well, here are my initial thoughts of this. I'm a little worried about LeGarrette Blount keeping his job. Keeping a lot. I mean, he's not going to have that many carries, okay? It's not going to always be 20 plus. But I'm not quite sure Dion Lewis is going to get up to the amount of work that he had last season. So I am a little nervous about that because, frankly, they are just running the ball really, really well in New England. And it is keeping them, obviously, undefeated without Tom Brady. But even when Tom Brady comes back, they have a tough schedule. So they're going to have to keep defenses honest and run the ball. It's not going to be gadgety, what have you. You know, they have Denver, they have the Jets twice, they have pretty much the entirety of the NFC West. Seattle, I think it's going to be a little bit tougher sledding. And also, we haven't seen the Baltimore Ravens run the ball at all. Now, I'm not saying that Kenneth Dixon isn't a great player, but I'm not quite sure that they're capable of producing the type of running back that I would need to feel confident starting. I don't know what is going on with the offensive line. Again, I look forward to a little more analysis here. Obviously the talent isn't, stupendous over there right now, but I am a little bit dubious about both of these guys. If I have the spots, great, but we're going right into the bye weeks where I need to have my bench spots. So I'm a little bit nervous, frankly, based off of the performances that have already happened thus far this season.
Gotcha. And that basically sums up the running back position to a T that we've talked about so far. It's very, very thin right now. So when you're talking about these upside plays, Dion Lewis, he averaged 7 carries a game last year. But as you mentioned, Brandon, LeGarrette Blount's running the ball pretty well. Outside of him, there have been 9 running back carries through the 3 games. So it's, as you say, it's no lock that Dion Lewis even gets the role he had back, or on top of that, if he's the same player. So before we get into wide receivers, let's get a quick break for our sponsors. All right, guys, we are back. Now, the wide receiver position, it's kind of thin this week. There's not really too many names to talk about there, but as Daniel mentioned earlier, there is one atop the list that I know he's dying to talk about. So, Daniel, let's start with you. Talk about Terrell Pryor. Let us know why, week 3 was not a fluke and why they should pick him up for week 4 and beyond.
I've had Terrell Pryor all season long, and I've been excited about it. There's only so many weapons in Cleveland. We think Josh Gordon's going to be Josh Gordon when he gets back, or at least a reasonable facsimile, but we don't know. What we do know is that Terrell Pryor looked awesome on Sunday. He couldn't have looked that much better, really. They're using him all over the field in every way. Anytime you can get someone throwing passes who's not at quarterback, you're always in an advantage because quarterbacks get more fantasy points. So if they're going to keep using Pryor even occasionally at the quarterback position, that's a huge benefit for fantasy. If nothing else, he is going to be involved in the passing game even when Gordon gets back. I'm not saying he's a must-start in every league, but I think he's going to be started a lot, and he's a must-add every single place.
Nathan, what's your take on this? Because my worry is obviously the fact that they really don't have a quarterback that you can rely on with Kessler. I don't know if we can expect McCown back anytime soon. Josh Gordon coming back. How much faith do you have in Terrell Pryor? And if your team was well-balanced, who would you pick up? Would you pick up Terrell Pryor or would you take Jordan Howard?
I would probably still go with Jordan Howard just because it's so rare to have a running back that could be in a situation where he's playing 80 to 90% of snaps. But Pryor, I agree. If you're able to add him, definitely do so this week. I am a little bit concerned for a couple of reasons. Some that you mentioned, he does have a fairly low catch rate, high yards per catch, so he's someone where some weeks like this past one, he could be huge, where other weeks he won't contribute that much in the passing game, I wouldn't think. And then I am still a believer in Josh Gordon. I think once he's back, we'll see a lot of the targets, so that'll cut into Pryor's time at least a little bit. But with how well Pryor's been playing, I think he's someone where you have to add him. You have to assume he'll keep doing well until we see for sure that he's not going to.
Yeah, Brendan, what's your take on Terrell Pryor? I mean, they used him in a lot of different ways on Sunday. It was refreshing. I mean, it could have been a surprise too. I mean, the Browns rolled out some things out there that they hadn't rolled out before. Could it have been like shock value? Is that where he got a lot of his production, or is it legit and it's going to keep up?
Well, you know what's really legit? This guy's effort.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get narrative here, but, not only that, but after the game, him basically saying he just would lay himself on the line for Coach Jackson. I think that they really respect him. They have him involved in every play. It's very clear that he is, as of today, one of, if not the best athlete on the team. And they have made that very clear. So I do think that they'll keep him involved in one way or another. Yeah, I'm concerned about their quarterback situation. I don't know how you can't be. I'm concerned about everyone on that team staying healthy. They're just, like the Chargers, snake bit. I don't know what to say. At a certain point, you just say, whoa, you were just unlucky. There's no rhyme or reason for some of this stuff. So when you see two quarterbacks in slings on the sidelines, that makes you nervous for the wide receiver, for sure. And especially when a super stud's coming back and we're hoping that he's up to the same par. I think that they're going to keep him involved. I think he has earned the respect of the team, of his coaching staff. I don't see any way that they completely take him out of the game plan, but I think that it could change. The good news is, like Daniel said, he's incredibly versatile. It could be a plethora of different plays that we're going to see from this guy. And considering they're just trying to throw anything up against the wall to see what sticks, I'm okay with that. Now, if I'm set at wide receiver, I'm not going to drop anyone at this point. I think that's the problem right now, right? I mean, wide receivers hasn't been as massacred by injuries in the way that running backs have. But listen, I mean, I might actually carry one less running back to have Terrell Pryor, because they even have him doing wildcat. They have him do everything. So who knows? That's how I feel about it. I just feel like, again, we have him, we give him an 84.2 grade right now on Pro Football Focus. He is the highest scoring guy on their offense as far as our grades are concerned. And I almost think this guy deserves more just extra credit for what he's doing. It's unbelievable, and kudos to him. But for fantasy purposes, I'm nervous. Cody Kessler makes me nervous, and I think that that's an understatement.
Well, as you mentioned, like, he was everywhere on the field on Sunday. Like, he was all over the place, and the effort was there, and you could tell that he wanted to win. I think he said at some point that he would have cut off one of his fingers for a win in that game, which is just crazy. But no, I mean, I think the Twitter world will explode the first time that Terrell Pryor throws a touchdown to Josh Gordon. That's going to happen, by the way, at some point. But Terrell Pryor, he's probably the top wide receiver ad this week. Another name that's kind of creeping up my boards that I don't think I can ignore any longer. I just think he's part of the offense. Cole Beasley, guys. I don't even know where to start with this. Nathan, talk me into Cole Beasley. Is he someone that people should actually take notice of, especially in PPR leagues?
I can't talk you into it. His role hasn't changed in Dallas's offense the past few years, and I think it's just the matchups that he's been going up against. He went up against that Bears defense, like we said, has been hurting. He hasn't scored a touchdown yet. A week before, he went up against Washington, who, if they have a weakness at cornerback, it's probably more their slot cornerback. The Giants, the week before, still trying to figure out their cornerback spot. He's just been catching everything thrown his way, but he's only been playing around 55% of snaps. And if I want to start a wide receiver, I want someone who's going to be playing more than 55% of snaps. And I don't think there's a situation, even if a wide receiver or two in Dallas gets hurt, that Beasley will see that increase in playing time. So he's just someone that I don't believe in right now.
Well, that's the tough part is, like, you just mentioned the matchups that he's had, but even coming up, Nathan, I don't know if you looked at the schedule, the 49ers this week, then they have the Bengals and Darqueze Dennard, and then they have the Packers. So these are teams that have struggled against slot receivers as well. So I don't know. I mean, Daniel, please, someone tell me I'm not crazy for thinking that Cole Beasley is legit. Like, he could, like, I'm not saying he's an every week starter, but I'm saying, like, if you have a bye week issue, let's say Randall Cobb, Jordy Nelson, and Jordan Matthews for that matter, you have two of those guys on bye, and you're trying to find someone to start. Cole Beasley is somebody that has seen at least 6 targets in every game, caught at least 5 passes, and 73 yards. So is he someone that you could just pop into your lineup and just almost like a cash type player?
If we're talking PPR, I don't mind him as your last receiver. I'm strong everywhere else. I need a receiver. Sure. In a standard league, he has 71 yards a game so far. That's great. I can't imagine that continues considering the rate he has to go to get that. Des Bryant is going to start doing more. Ezekiel Elliott is going to start catching more passes. Lance Dunbar and Jason Witten are both still in that offense. I like Beasley fine as a bottom tier PPR option, but in any kind of standard league, it's just impossible to rely on that rate of production.
Brandon, instead of spending more time on Cole Beasley, because it seems like I'm a little bit over the top there's another player that is around his percentage owned, and that's Jamison Crowder. Jamison Crowder, I actually liked him this past week, and the reason I liked him is because when we found out the news that Josh Doctson was going to be out, it was going to help clear some things up over the middle of the field, and that's honestly where the Giants struggle. Was it a one-week thing with Crowder, or is he someone that you can start to rely on, maybe not every week, but he could be that bye-week filler?
Yeah, no, I love. By the way, also, I'm a Cole Beasley bye-week filler person. The next 3 matchups are for him. I mean, I don't think it's rest of season, but I'm with you next 3 weeks. I will say that with Jamison Crowder, it's not a one-week thing. They have been targeting him more. He's also been very vocal as like a part of the team. So I think that he is someone that I am leaning on. Why? That Washington defense is going to keep Kirk Cousins throwing the ball all season long. I don't care if it's garbage time. It is fantasy football. Points are points. They're going to have to throw the ball. So, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, once again, we're getting to bye weeks, and what we're looking for is volume. If someone's seeing 7 targets in a game, that's someone you have to target, and that includes Cole Beasley. What have you? I mean, I'm using targets on multiple ways here, but you definitely want to look for those guys because volume means that there's a potential that they're going to make the most of their opportunities, and that is what you want in your bye week fill-in. So for me, Jamison Crowder is definitely one of those guys. And again, Washington's defense, look for it all season.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, Brandon. So this week, Jamison Crowder gets to play the Browns, who Ryan Tannehill just tore up. Making it rain.
No, he didn't.
I'm doing something.
He didn't.
He did.
Oh my gosh.
300 plus yards, 3 touchdowns. We'll take it, streamers.
He had to go to overtime against Cleveland.
Brandon, don't start with me.
Oh my gosh. I hope you don't stream
him. Doesn't matter how it happened.
Oh my goodness.
No, it doesn't matter how it happened. No matter how we got there, we did. Nathan, Jamison Crowder, what are your takes on Jamison Crowder?
I like him more than Cole Beasley for sure. I think he plays a higher percentage of snaps just since Washington stays in their 11 personnel a lot more and don't rotate their wide receivers nearly as much as Dallas does. I think talent-wise, I like Crowder. He's been getting a decent number of targets, has been seeing some more touchdowns recently. That was probably his one biggest problem last year. That didn't make him as much of an option then, as he just wasn't seeing the touchdowns. So I think Crowder in the right matchups, he's someone that if you want on your roster at the bottom of your roster, and in bye weeks, if he's playing the right team, then go out and play him like this upcoming week.
Yeah, and this so Jamison Crowder, Cole Beasley, fine slot receivers that you could probably plug and play in PPR leagues. They're definitely more valuable there than they are in standard, though Jamison Crowder probably has better longevity, I guess. But although I do think it helps that Josh Doctson was out this week, because Doxson's role had been growing every single week. So that's something to pay attention to. He might be in our waiver wire editions next week. But right now, we got to hurry up and get to the tight ends, guys. We're running low on time here. So we're going to do a quick thing. I want you guys to hit me. Daniel, let's start with you. I want you to pick one of these tight ends that you'd have to pick up this week. Cameron Brate, Hunter Henry, or Jack Doyle? Which one do you?
You can stop. It's Brate.
It's Brate.
Yeah. As soon as you started with Brate, he's going to be a big part of that offense, especially with Safarian Jenkins gone. We don't know if Gates is going to be back for the Chargers. I haven't heard for sure, but either way, Henry's not reliable. Doyle, he's getting a lot of snaps, getting a lot of targets, but I just don't buy it. Brate is a locked-in part of that offense.
Brandon, who would you pick of those 3? And if it's Brate, let's hear your second option, where if he's not available, Hunter Henry, Jack Doyle. We could even throw Kyle Rudolph in this mix, guys, because he's available in a lot of leagues as well.
Oh, well, if you're throwing Kyle Rudolph in, then I'm going Rudolph. I mean, Sam Bradford and tight ends is just a thing. So I would say Kyle Rudolph. My second choice on the original one would be Jack Doyle. I think that, obviously he's not going to get 2 touchdowns every game like he did in week 1, but he certainly has been getting the targets a lot more than I thought he would. And I think that they need those 2 tight end sets. And he's been on the field a lot. I don't think this is a fluke. And by the way, the tight end position, kind of like the running back position, it's a desolate land of just weird points or no points. So, but I will say, I just want to throw in, check to see if Jimmy Graham's available. It's a real thing.
It is a real thing. He looked really good on Sunday, but he was too highly owned for me to throw in the waiver wire show, guys.
I know. I just wanted to put it out there.
No,
Let me ask.
Oh, go ahead, Daniel.
I was going to say, how deep a league would you guys have to be in to add Austin Seferian-Jenkins?
Ugh.
He's the only tight end there now in New York.
I'm
just curious.
Really, Dave?
I can't. Yeah, it has to be like our Dynasty League deep, where we roster 36 people deep.
That's my instinct too. I was just curious.
No, yeah, I can't trust that guy as far as I could throw him, and I can't throw him at all. Like, he's 6'7", like a big dude. Nathan, so we've heard about Jack Doyle, we've heard about Kyle Rudolph, we've heard about Cameron Brate. Let's talk about Hunter Henry. I was excited to see him in the absence of Gates. And what they're saying on Antonio Gates is that he's not anywhere close to returning. That he's an old man. He was moving slow before this injury, and now the hamstring injury. These things can linger throughout the season. I'm extremely excited about Hunter Henry. I know he's a rookie, and I know that they typically don't bring production, but I think by default, Hunter Henry is going to be like the guy in the red zone. Am I nuts?
I'm somewhat optimistic about Henry. I think he will see the playing time. I'm a little concerned because he hadn't been seeing the targets before, even with Gates there. I think if they really liked him, they would have found a way to get him involved with the offense in the passing game more, even when Gates was there. But something to be really optimistic, especially about this week, is he's about to go up against the Saints defense, which we just saw last night what can happen when a team's facing the Saints. So if you need a tight end just for this week, I would go with Henry out of everyone in the group. Long term, like you guys have been saying, I probably would go with either Brate or Rudolph. But for this upcoming week, I definitely go Henry.
I want you guys to keep it in mind real quick that even though Antonio Gates played 2 full games, he's got all this rapport with Phillip Rivers and whatnot. He had 9 targets through 2 games. He caught 6 passes for 35 yards and a touchdown. Hunter Henry got his first start last week. 5 targets, 5 catches for 96 yards. It was.
But you can't compare the two because Keenan Allen and Danny Woodhead were out last week.
Well, they were out. No, but that's what I'm saying. They were out, and that's what I'm saying is that Gates had an opportunity. Gates has had the opportunity to be the number 1 in that offense, yet Travis Benjamin was outperforming him. Tyrell Williams was outperforming him. Even Melvin Gordon was outperforming him in the passing game. That's what I'm saying. I think Hunter Henry is a younger version, like a younger model, I guess, that Phillip Rivers you can call almost like a trade up from Antonio Gates right now. I think Antonio Gates, he might be done, guys. Like, he did not look good before this injury. The injury does not help. For me, I love Hunter Henry, and if there's a tight end in the league that you should handcuff, it's Antonio Gates. So if you own Gates, I wouldn't prepare for a return anytime soon. Grab Hunter Henry, start him every time that Gates is out. But guys, that is going to wrap up today's show. So for Nathan Jahnke, Daniel Kelley, Brandon Marianne Lee, you guys want to give away your Twitter handles because I seriously cannot keep up with these things anymore.
Sure. I'm Brandon, her FFB.
I'm at Daniel T. Kelley. That's with an EY on the Kelley.
I'm PFF _Nate Jahnke. That's PFF _NATEJAHNKE.
And I am Mike Tagliere. You can find me on Twitter at Mike Tagliere NFL. But guys, we will be back here with you every single week talking about waiver wire additions. Brandon will yell at me about something with Ryan Tannehill. I will talk about Hunter Henry and Cole Beasley. We'll have a good time. Bring a drink, sit down, go through your waiver wire additions with us. But until next time, guys, lights out.